Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic host of Bachelorette Recap, a Guy's Review. It's voicemails. These are the voicemails from Bachelor Nation regarding Greg Grippo and Katie Thurston's tragic breakup this Monday night on the Bachelorette's hometown episode. Let's dive right into those. Do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe. Whenever there's a big event like this breakup, I take voicemails, and we've got a ton of them, so I'm only going to be able to play the ones that are like around a minute in length. All the longer ones, I just got to pass you by. I'm sorry. You know, brevity is a virtue. Let's get right into it, all right? Here we go. Hold on while we figure it out.
Girl who lives in Australia. Hey, Greg, it's Jennifer,
Dave.
Canadian
Greg.
girl who lives in Australia. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to vent in your voicemail, because honestly, after this episode, I feel like I need a good cleanse mentally, physically.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand why Greg has to disrespect a woman this much, degraded Katie, disrespected her, manipulated her in a way that I've never seen this happen. Like, it's so bad. And for what? Because Katie didn't say that she loves you back. Maybe she wasn't ready to say it. Maybe she's still debating if you're the one or Blake is the one. You need to let her know how you feel. Step back, let her deal with her emotions, and she'll get back to you. You are not allowed to treat a woman this way just because she's not giving you what you want in that exact moment. I was completely triggered, shaking. He honestly, does not deserve any time on TV. I don't even understand how people can be on his side when he is literally, manipulating Katie, being so poisonous. I don't understand. And even the way he left her on the ground crying, and he just left without a proper goodbye. Why? Because she didn't understand you? Oh, poor little boy. Because she didn't say, I love you back. Oh, you need a hug from your mama? No, man up. You're not allowed to be this disrespectful. Please, I cannot. I really hope people understand where I'm coming from. It's not even about picking sides. It's about what's right, what's justice, especially on national TV. Treating a woman like that is just really, shocking. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys later.
Jennifer, thank you for the call. Well, look, I agree with some of your points there, but I don't know if he I don't know if he was really, trying to make her look bad. You know, you said there's a lot of disrespect happening for sure, maybe. But then telling him to man up, that's toxic in and of itself, right? Telling him to man up. I mean, women, don't you want men to share their emotions? Now, obviously, he runs off and doesn't address the situation. But we're going to get a lot of voicemails where what we saw on TV is going to trigger a lot of people. And that's just because we saw a big old mess. We saw a lot of things, a lot of layers to it all. Thanks so much for the phone call.
Hey, this is Ryan from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Just calling, first of all, Greg. I truly believe Greg felt in the moment that in his most vulnerable moment, he was betrayed by Katie. And it's unfortunate because no matter what Katie said in the moment when she was apologizing, it just wasn't going to be good enough for him.
True.
So I think he overreacted, and it's too bad because they were great together. Also, let's just say she ends up with Blake or Justin. What do you think they think of this? Because she basically trashed the two of them by saying Greg was the only one for her. So yeah, big fan, Dave. You're great. Thanks.
Thank you. Ryan from Winnipeg, Manitoba, the Canadians, 2 for 2 here. Listen, yeah, what is that going to say for Justin and Blake? I mean, if they watch this back, they go, geez, she had such a clear connection with Greg. But I think she can write that off and say, I thought I had a clear connection with him. Clearly, we were on different pages. We were painting red flags white. I think it'll be relatively easy for her to play that off. But with that said, obviously, when you go through some sort of heartbreak like this, are they able to compartmentalize their issues? Will Justin and Blake be able to believe in their own relationship with her and not worry too much about this? And, by the time whoever she ends up with, if she's still with them, this is several months later. So she's able to develop the relationship she's currently in. All right, Nina from Pittsburgh.
This is Mimi from Pittsburgh, PA. And I think Katie should just get on a plane and fly to Akron, Ohio, and give Michael a surprise hometown visit and stick with him. Bye.
I love it. 17 seconds long. That's a perfect voicemail. She says, stick it to Michael, or maybe Michael stick it to her. Who knows, really? Let's see. This is a short one. This must be a dud.
Dave Neal, DN.
That's my name.
He's nuts.
D's nuts. Dave Neal, D's nuts. Okay, we don't screen these. Here we go. Oh, it's JoJo. Is this former Bachelorette JoJo?
Hi, this is JoJo. I have some thoughts. So, I think personally that Greg opened himself up and he just wanted an answer. And Katie didn't give it to him, and he was just like, hi, I need you to give me something. And I feel like it's really frustrating when you tell someone you love them and you don't get anything. She was so freaking cold. And it kind of bothers me how she kept saying there was a villain and tried to make him into a villain when you saw that his heart was just bleeding and all he wanted was a little bit reassurance. So I think Katie's the villain of the season. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Wow, JoJo says you want to be the villain? No, you're the villain. It's one of those F me. No, don't F me, F you. She's like, oh, Katie says Greg's the villain. No, Katie's the villain. Well, look, I disagree. I don't think Katie's the villain. And we also know that there's plenty we didn't get to see. So maybe Katie felt like she invested a lot of time in Greg, and then when the going got rough, Greg he was a rough rider and he rode his way out of town. So maybe she's resentful and bitter because of that. But who knows, really? Christina calling from Washington, D.C., our country's capital.
Hi, this is Christina calling from Washington, D.C. I think what happened last episode was definitely a miscommunication issue. When Katie and Greg was pouring his heart out, saying, she's feeling a void in my heart, like, I haven't been so happy since my dad died, and she just stared at him and say, I like looking at you. And that triggered Greg to the reaction. And I think Katie was not present at that moment, and she needs a pass for not being present. I mean, she's been emotionally invested with, I don't know, like 25 other guys in the past week, so that's fine. She was not present at the moment. She apologized. Just move on. But I think it was just that. It was a bad communication issue and Katie not being present at that moment. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, we don't know what Katie's going through with as far as thinking about the different goodbyes she has to give and all the things we've kind of made as an example to why Katie might not have been present in the moment. And clearly she also didn't realize how hard this was for Greg. And, sometimes people are stoic and they kind of, they'll kind of present themselves, and even if he says, hey, it's a big deal, it doesn't mean she knows like how much of a big deal it is to him. So for him to talk about the fact that he's opening up about his father, that might have been a very big exposed moment for him, and he didn't get the response he needed. The only advice I can give all of us out there is you don't say things expecting the response to be something that fits what you need. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It takes the control away from your own emotions. Control your own reactions, and then you don't need to live or die by somebody else's words. And I know that's hard to do, but I think we could all have a little bit more zen in our life if we do that. Linda in San Diego, you're up.
Hi, Dave. This is Linda in San Diego. I've been listening to you since Matt James this season.
Thanks, Linda.
First time caller. Thanks for the wonderful job you do. My thoughts on last night's episode. I was waiting to see this episode. I thought Greg was going to turn out to be a total schmuck, and that wasn't the case. I get both sides of the situation. I feel like Katie couldn't reveal her true feelings to the full depth of them. But I do understand Greg. I think it really turns out, like you were saying, I think to be a pride issue. I think that he wanted more than she was able to give him right then and there, and didn't trust enough, I guess, in the relationship. And he was wounded. His pride was wounded. And it could come very much so from the loss of his dad. So I feel for both parties involved. I do wish the best for Katie. I hope she ends up with someone wonderful in the end. But I kind of feel bad for the two guys that are left if they see last night's episode, thinking that, are we like just the leftovers that she chose? So anyway, I do hope the best for her. And thanks again for all you do.
Well,
Bye
Linda,
now.
thank you so much for calling in. First-time caller, Linda there. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's going to be a tough conversation she has with the remaining men. Oh, but she's had Michael leave her and now Greg. I mean, there must be some real triggers happening on her end, being like, wondering if she is enough. And you know what, Katie, if you're watching, you are enough, okay? You are enough. All right, let's go to Z from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Hi, Dave. This is Z calling from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I really just have to say something about this episode, which is that I believe the narrative that Greg was a bad guy, but I don't know if I'm just being manipulated by production, but I really felt like Katie's response to him was not good, and I felt like his reaction to her response was completely justified. Thank you for everything that you do. Bye.
Thank you, Z. Bye, Z from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Boy, gotta love a good Alabama call. Southerners, keep calling. All those Canadians up there calling from Manitoba. And then we got Tuscaloosa. All right, we are all over the map now. And we are cooking. Listen, thanks so much. I mean, look, yeah. Is Greg a villain? No. I mean, did it end well? No. But is he a villain? I mean, if this weren't on national TV, it would have been a bad breakup. And then hopefully somebody would have talked some sense into him, and he'd, find somebody worth fighting for. Not to say Katie's not worth fighting for, but clearly not in his eyes if he didn't fight for her. You know what I mean? His ego and his defense mechanism was enough to keep him from pursuing it any farther.
Dave, it's all right. I've had the night to think it over from my initial reaction to Greg's reaction and Katie's reaction. So, he definitely did not let her finish talking. I think he was just so hurt and he was just so over the process. He was like, okay, I'm done. Why am I still here? But I think they both could have handled it, the breakup, better. But it's just a very sad situation. And yeah, he could have seen from where she was coming from, but he was so emotionally involved with his own emotions. He couldn't see beyond anything else. He had those blinders on. It's just only his emotions mattered. He didn't think about what she was going through. But, that she had two other guys to think about and their families to think about and the pressure that she was under. So he definitely did not see her side, did not want to see her side. Only his emotions mattered, and that's not right. That's not what makes a relationship work. It goes two sides.
Completely agree with you there, Sarai. Thanks so much for the phone call. Is that, you're whenever, like a lot of times in relationships, it's it'll become like who can jockey to be the victim. No, you're upset. I'm upset. No, you're mad. No, this is what you did to me. And you start like reading the list of offenses for the other person did to you. And it's like, listen, whenever you find yourself jockeying to see who's the victim, you got to get out of that convo. Go walk the dog, go clean your room, do something else, come back to the table and don't play the victim. You can be the victim and not play the victim. And he was playing the victim there. Doesn't mean he wasn't a victim in some rights. It means like less woe is me and more try to empathize with what she's going through. And then that way her guard can be let down and then she can empathize with what you're going through. And maybe you'd still be together, All right, here we go. Next phone call. You guys are killing it. You guys are doing a great job. Really proud of all of you. Just stalling here. Hold on. Bluetooth.
California. Hi, Dave. It's Tess from California, and I have a lot of thoughts about the whole Greg situation. I feel like he was just looking for a way out because if Katie truly was the one and everything he said to his parents was honest, then I feel like he wouldn't just give up so quickly. And it feels like he just had this wall up, and regardless of what Katie was going to say, he just wanted to leave. And he put all the blame on her, and it was really difficult to watch because it was just blatant emotional manipulation and gaslighting. And gosh, I don't know how else he would have handled it, but I wish he did not go about it that way. And it was very difficult to watch, and I really feel for Katie. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Well, I appreciate your call. And, we played the Dr. Diane saying how it wasn't necessarily gaslighting. And I know there's so many complex layers to it so that we just go, oh, yeah, there's manipulation, there's gaslighting, there's narcissism. But, there's just certain words that, you and I and other people that might not be like clinical psychologists have a hard time breaking down what we're seeing. So, and maybe it was. What do I know? Like, I don't think it matters necessarily to like say someone's wrong or right based on how they feel from it all. I think we just saw a dumpster fire, and that dumpster fire is bringing up previous dumpster fires we've all been a part of. Kelly in Arizona, you are next.
Dave, this is Kelly from Arizona.
What's up,
I'm
Kelly?
going to be Team Greg on this one.
Whoa.
I think that they both communicated horribly in the end. However, I don't think that there's a single person that can tell me that they're going to be able to look someone that they are madly in love with deeply in the eyes, be completely vulnerable, basically they pour their heart out to them, and then to get no response, and then not be so confused and need that reassurance and not who are at in their relationship. I understand that they both knew what they were signing up for, both human. And so I'm Team Greg.
Team Greg right there, folks. We have 1 point, Team Greg. Well, listen, I mean, he got the most one-on-one dates. He got a lot of reassurances throughout the season. When push came to shove at the end, maybe he didn't get the reassurance he needed then. Maybe she thought she gave him enough. Maybe she thought, oh, I did X, Y, and Z. The guy knows he's money, but maybe not. Maybe he needed a little bit more. Lori from Walnut Creek, California. Go for it.
Lori from Walnut Creek, California. And I was just struck by, if this Greg really was the guy, why didn't she just break down and tell him that she loved him? I mean, if she cared that much about the guy, why didn't she just friggin' open up and rather than leave, just tell him how much she cares about him? Didn't get that part. Okay, that's it.
I hear you. We ask a lot of questions. We're watching TV going, why didn't you do it? Whatever. But she ran after him several times. Like if she was like politely going to want him to go, that would have been the chance to let him go. So, I mean, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? Maybe she did. Maybe there was a moment where she did and we didn't see it. We just don't know. Alrighty. You're up next.
Hi, David. It's so nice to do this voicemail. I'm from New York. I just want to talk about, I think, Greg, I understand his perspective, but at the same time, you did sign up for this show. And I know it gets difficult with the emotions, but I really think that Blake is the best candidate because he's been honest with her the whole time. His family's great, and they just have great chemistry, and it's obvious that she loves or likes him more than a lot of the contestants. I'm sorry. The contestant. Oh my God. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Hopefully you do not read this voicemail. Have a great day.
Now listen, I word vomit all the time. Contestants. Yeah, no, it's a tongue twister, folks. Speaking of tongue twisting, how's that fantasy suite gonna go? Will Blake be using that chin to good use? I don't know. What am I saying, folks? Yeah, I mean, she's got great chemistry with Greg and with Blake, and obviously Greg could feel that. But in the end, we'll just never know. Everything happens for a reason, but we'll never know. And to say someone signed up for something, that's like saying, well, someone got in their car and they put their seatbelt on and then they got run over by a train. But hey, they signed up to drive. I don't think he realized it would be this hard. And who are we to know how hard it actually is? All right, here we go. Let's go to the next one. You guys are doing great.
Hey, Dave. This is Mrs. Truth. I live in Texas. So I was thinking about how Greg was acting. Honestly, to me, I think that he never had an intention to stay in the game. I think that was just it. He knew if he comes to the time when he has to be before the final rose, he had to be out, right? So he had to find a way because it looked like he was just done. There was nothing Katie would have said, and it was just weird. The whole vibe, the whole changing. I don't see what Katie did wrong. I just feel like Greg, it was just time for him to leave. And he found a way to just make her feel bad and put the whole blame on her. Yeah, I just didn't like it, I just hope she goes for Blake, Blake is a good guy. All right, Dave, thank you for everything you do. We love your shows and keep it up.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you so much for the phone call there. Yeah, I mean, I disagree with the thought that Greg knew he had to get out of there before it was too late. I think he was more self-sabotaging and he would rather leave than deal with heartbreak. But what do I know? You know what I mean?
Hey, this is Kara from Kentucky, and this whole Greg thing really has me upset
because I believe if anybody's being gaslit here, it's Greg.
Wow.
Okay. So Greg's reality is that he doesn't believe Katie is being honest about their relationship.
Okay.
He's starting to question it. And rightfully so. He basically bore his soul to Katie, and she responded by saying, "I love looking at you," while staring at him. That is a really strange way to respond to somebody's emotional outpouring.
Sure.
It doesn't align with her acting like, she really cares about how he feels. But she sees he's upset, and she uses compassion as a weapon and says, "You know how I feel about you, right?" But her actions and words and energy say differently. He says, "This is hard for me," but she flips the tables and says, "You are losing trust." And that's minimizing his experience. She said to him, "I said this would be hard from the beginning," as if he's wrong for the emotions that he has, instead of saying, "What can I do for you?" Also, basically, the whole time I feel like it's obvious that she's annoyed by him.
Well, thank you so much for the call, Tara from Kentucky. I like the thought that you're having that she's using compassion as a weapon. And it's like, look, I think they're both trying their best. I think she's not trying to use compassion as a weapon so much as she's trying to say, look, come on, look, don't you know what I've already told you? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. She just wasn't able to get to those next words. And maybe she was being like withholding due to her own anxieties and all that. I'm really not sure. But I love the idea of it's like, you think I'm the gaslighter? You're the gaslighter. I feel like Chris Harrison would say that. Who are you to gaslight? Who am I? Who am I to gaslight? Who are you to gaslight? All right, here's Kate. Kate's gaslighting us next. You're up. The gaslighting. That'd be a good podcast title. Just all gaslight each other. All right, here we go. Kate, you're up.
Hi, Dave. This is Kate. I'm from New Jersey. So on behalf of all New Jerseyans, I'd like to apologize on Greg's behalf. Anyway, Greg, I have sympathy for his dad in this situation. I did comment on your video on this, but he needs to put himself together first. He can't have another person to rely on to fill that void, as sad as the situation is. And he needs to go on a sabbatical. I don't know what it is, but Katie shouldn't be responsible, or anybody shouldn't be responsible for, quote, putting a person back together. That has to happen on Greg's time and Greg's willingness to recover in a certain way. And his happiness needs to come from within. It cannot be based on somebody else. And I felt really badly for Katie and Greg, but I think that it's a situation where Greg needs to go and find that happiness for himself.
Wow.
Love everything that you do. And keep up with the amazing content.
Thank you, Kate from New Jersey, the Dirty J, the Garden State. Thank you so much, Kate. She says you're not responsible for fixing other people. Now, there are plenty of relationships where someone's codependent and they want to fix somebody else and they want to like nurture and mother them. But then there's a weird dynamic there. And a good relationship isn't the main course. It is the dessert. And good to know. Oh, Franny's calling next. All right, let's take Franny's call. She's from the Marina Del Rey here in Southern California. And Franny is a marriage therapist, a psychologist. I always mess up your title, Franny, but we're always happy to hear from you. Let's go to Franny.
Hey, Dave. This is Franny from Marina Del Rey. I just rewatched, actually, the episode from last night. And I know that it triggered a lot of emotions in a lot of people. I totally understand that. I agree with you when you say that Greg is fixable, that there is something that is workable in him. And I also believe when he said that he was in love with her. And one of the things that just caught my attention now when I was rewatching it is that, at the end, there is like those images, and it shows a very young part of him. It seems like he's very happy and he's very playful. And I believe that also reflects the level of emotional maturity that he has. And when Katie did not validate or give him what he wanted when he was vulnerable, that was the part of him that was triggered. And that's why he shut down. And I'm not defending him or anything like that, but he has a very young level of emotional maturity. And from that moment on, he was not able to listen to anything that she has to say anymore.
and he was not able to empathize with her. So that whole conversation when she tried to apologize to him and all of that, like, it was not effective. I don't believe he wanted to hurt her by any means, but of course she did get hurt. And that whole conversation when she's trying to apologize, it seems like they are having two different conversations because nothing gets through him. I know that the word gaslighting has been thrown around. It sounds like that, but I don't believe that that's intentional, that he's doing that in an intentional way. I also don't think that Greg fits the criteria to being a narcissist. We all have narcissistic traits to a certain degree. But I do think that it has more to do with his level of emotional maturity than anything. I don't know if it's due to like developmental trauma, past experiences or whatever it is. I don't know much about his life. But anyways, I believe that he is a good person in nature, and that with the right help, he can redeem himself and he can.
Oh, Franny, it cuts you off right there at the 3-minute mark. I wanted to let you go along because you always give us some great insight. So Franny says he doesn't think he's a narcissist and that we all do have narcissistic tendencies, but it's more a lack of emotional maturity there. Very fascinating stuff, Franny. Thank you so much for taking the time to call in.
Hey, Dave, it's Franny again. I'm sorry I talked too much.
Oh.
But as I was saying, I think that there is, like, with the right help, he can get to a better place. I do believe that they really love each other,
Well, that's great. Oh, sorry to cut you off there. But it's hard to get through all these. But yeah, no, absolutely agree with you there. All right, let's go to Brianna in Seattle. You are up. Hold on.
From the Seattle area. And I am just I've been rewatching the video of him expressing all his feelings. And the more I watch it, the more I get irritated just at that. Because I just feel like when you are being vulnerable with somebody, like, and sharing their feelings, like, that's vulnerable for that other person. And I really do feel like she was just trying to listen, because that's what the relationship has been the whole way through. Is she dumped her heart out one time saying, "I'm falling for you." He was like, and ever since then, she's just been checking up. She's like, "I'm just checking on you. I'm just checking on you." She's like the person that listens because she's a calm, cool, collected person.
It's a good point, Brianna. Thanks for the phone call. That it's a good point there that, that maybe she was too into him at the beginning and she was giving him all this and she wasn't getting it back. So I don't know. All right, another one that says, "Hi, Greg." Wait, hold on. I don't think we can play that one. Let's keep going here. I'm trying to barrel through these, folks. I appreciate all the calls. All right, here we go. Get into it. Beverly.
Hi, this is Beverly in Maryland. Quick observation. Men have emotions just like women.
No.
And Greg deserves an answer as to how he felt about how she felt about him.
Okay.
So to say that he doesn't deserve that is sort of unfair. So he wanted to know, did she have feelings for him, or was it worth his time as well? So it's double standard. So we just got to realize that. That's my take on it.
Well, I appreciate that call. Thank you so much. You're absolutely right there. Men have emotions too. I've been told. I wear them on my sleeve. Some people don't, but absolutely. All right, let's go down south here and take a phone call from Tennessee. You're the only 10 I see.
Hello, this is Erin, and I'm from Tennessee. Also fully vaxxed and all that. So
wow,
blah blah. Anyway,
you don't have to be vaxxed.
I will
to
say
call
this:
in.
when I was watching the episode with Greg and Katie, I was very uncomfortable. It did feel like manipulation on his part. Whether or not it was gaslighting, I don't know. But I have, been going through a divorce with somebody who is narcissistic. He did use that tactic. Oh my goodness. Like, it was uncomfortable. Yes, he does need to see some sort of professional on how to argue. He was putting it all on her when really he was choosing to walk away, but everything he said, it was all her fault. All her fault. All her fault.
Great points. Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't taking ownership over it. And whenever you just point the blame at someone else, even if you have a point, you make them become defensive, and then it ruins the whole argument. Because the argument's not about winning. It's about coming to some sort of agreement there. You got it. Oh, all right, let's keep going here. Laura's up.
Hey, Dave. This is Laura. I'm calling in from the Bay Area, California. Love your show.
Thanks.
And I'm actually, I'm a lawyer. I practice domestic violence law. So I do, I see a lot of abusive behavior and patterns all the time. And I see how emotional abuse, even without physical abuse, affects people very, very seriously.
Of course.
And, I don't expect everyone to understand emotional abuse, but it's very clear to me, having, understood the dynamics, that Greg and what he's doing is very toxic, and over the course of a whole relationship would very, very much damage someone that's in it. So I just think that we should really draw attention to this being a toxic behavior, and not saying he's not amenable to change, but I do think that, we need to be believing people when they bring this to, people's attention, and supporting people survive this, because it takes a huge toll on everyone's mental health. Thank you, and have a good one.
Laura, thank you so much. Getting a voicemail there from a lawyer who's practicing domestic violence law. So very fascinating. Please call in anytime you have anything you want to talk about that is very interesting. Listen, I got so many voicemails here that are several minutes long, and I just can't play them. It's got to be under a minute for this one. Sorry, folks.
Hey, Dave. This is Emily. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Hi, Emily.
And just first-time caller.
Hey.
Just wanted to say I love your show.
Thanks.
I actually bought a few pieces from the Nordstrom anniversary sale.
Wow.
Thanks to Tasha's fashion take. And I swiped up on one of her videos and grabbed me a few cute jackets. Well, that's all I really wanted to say. Bye.
Well, look at that, Emily. Tasha actually showed me that she had a few new sales. Now, as you guys know, my fiance Tasha runs We Are to Travels, which is her. Let me see if I can drag this down here. That's her, or the blog we share about our traveling. And she's been posting a lot about different fashion on The Bachelorette. If you haven't watched those videos, they're actually a ton of fun, because I don't know much about fashion, so we have a good dynamic where she kind of like is the professor and I'm the idiot student. But she's got a couple of these blogs that are up, which shares some of the fashion that is similar to the outfits that we're seeing on the show, and places you can buy them, so links you can click. So thanks so much for purchasing that. Every penny from a purchase goes over to help feed the dog. All right, folks, let's go to Amy here. Sorry for all these 2 and 3 minute long voicemails I can't listen to. I hope you guys understand.
Hi, Dave. My name's Amy. I love your show.
Hi, Amy. Thank you.
Let's see. I am a Bachelorette fan, and this last evening with Katie Thurston was disaster. But anyways, there's one gentleman, Greg, and the other one, I don't know his name, but he had a 4-year-old son, and they both left. And I had this idea it would be a real different thing for the franchise to do, but maybe, for example, when there's 3 or 4 contestants left, if they feel like they want to do therapy with the contestant, let's say Greg and Katie did therapy, for example, maybe this whole thing wouldn't happen, this blow up. Because I think they just have different ways of kind of getting to the same point. But I don't know. I don't know if that's easy to understand what I'm saying, but it would be really cool if there was some kind of therapy going on the show, at least when things get to the end, and maybe there's some differences that people don't know how to mitigate without, kind of getting in each other's way.
That's such a great point. Thank you so much, Amy, for the call. Yeah, you're right. If they had a therapist to be like, hey, Greg, you're not listening to what she's saying. Listen to what she's saying. Repeat it back. Okay, now, Katie, understand, if, to walk them through that, it'd be good for all of us to see how that all goes down. They might think that's boring TV, but clearly this relationship in some form or another was salvageable and it wasn't done. Julia from New Jersey, you're back. Let's do it. Let's do Julia. Hold on. Got to reconnect the system here.
I just wanted to weigh in.
Here we go.
Hi, this is Julia from New Jersey, and I just wanted to weigh in on my thoughts about the whole Greg situation last night. I do understand a lot where he was coming from because it obviously is a really stressful thing, but I think that what a lot of people are forgetting is that, Katie was giving him a lot based on what he was asking for. She was giving him as much as she could while still staying true to herself, and he just wasn't taking it. And I felt like he was getting a little bit aggressive about it, and that was what really turned me off of the situation. But overall, it's a really sad situation, and I am really curious to see how she moves on from it. So, yeah, love your show. Thanks, bye.
Well, thank you so much for the phone call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Angelo in Toronto. You are up next. Angelo in Toronto. Having a little Bluetooth problem. I ordered a new part for my phone so I can connect directly to my mixer here because this Bluetooth is just garbage, but it comes in later today. We couldn't wait for it. All right, here we go. Angelo. Thank you for waiting, folks.
Hi, Dave. This is Angela calling from Toronto, Canada. The red flag with Blake was from the onset of meeting the whole family, saying how unhappy he was. That was well before the fight even started. So you're bang on.
You said Blake. You meant Greg. I pulled Blake up. You meant Greg here. The Greg fight, of course.
The referee call. Totally get that he's definitely not ready for a relationship. Anyways, those are my two thoughts.
Not ready. Well, thank you for the phone call, Angela. I appreciate you. Oh, coming in at 59 seconds, right under the deadline here is Tiana. You are up next. Let's play Tiana's voicemail.
Hi, Dave. This is Tiana calling in from Rhode Island. Woo! And I have a lot of thoughts about
at the same time.
Past episode. I'm going to try and keep it brief. I think that Katie dodged a huge bullet. I think that Greg was right in the beginning to be upset with how she reacted because, the way that she reacted saying, I just like looking at you was pretty messed up on her part, but I can understand that, maybe she didn't know how to react in the moment, but seeing how he blew up afterwards and the way that he was talking to her and how he didn't let her speak, it just felt like he kind of wanted to have a moment on TV. It felt very weird and artificial almost, and something about it just really turned me off to him. So I think she dodged a bullet, and although I think I might have liked Greg at the beginning, people are people, and maybe he was having a day or, he's probably working through things, but I feel like that reveals greater flags about a relationship, and I don't know that he was as ready for an engagement as he might think he was. Anyways, I love your show. Keep doing what you're doing. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Tiana in Rhode Island. Please have some clam strips for me or some clam chowder or a stuffy. Have a stuffy for me if you don't mind. Speaking of stuffies, Fantasy Suites next episode, folks. Okay, let's go to Brianna. This phone call was from 3 a.m. this morning. Okay, what are you doing awake at 3 a.m.? Brianna, come on.
Hey, Dave. It's Brianna from Santa Cruz calling in. I don't know if I'm too late to the game or not for the voicemail, but my question was, did anyone else catch that when Greg was confronting Katie in her room, that he said that night instead of last night? It made me wonder if his date wasn't actually the last hometown date, and if there were multiple days in between, that awkward confrontation and their little whisper conversation, and then him confronting her in the hotel room. Love to hear your thoughts. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, B in Santa Cruz, Brianna. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know the actual dates, but it makes sense that they would kind of clump it all together, each storyline. But yeah, chances are she went on. Can you imagine getting in a fight with your boyfriend or girlfriend and then you go on another date with somebody else and you have to be present? I can't do that. I need to resolve issues right away, and I'm kind of a pain. All right, so the last few voicemails here are pretty long. Karen left 5 minutes of voicemail. Let's just play the first. Let me see how long I can play this here, Karen.
Hi, Dave. This is Karen from Long Island, just calling to comment on the Greg and Katie situation.
Long Island, Strong Island.
So there's a lot to unpack here, as people have said. First of all, to refute some things that people are saying, I really don't think it was manipulation.
Okay.
When you manipulate, you try to get somebody to do something. Greg was more stating how he was feeling and was entrenched in that and wasn't really manipulating Katie because he wasn't trying to get something out of her. He was more stuck in where he was and was going with that. He did shut down. He did act emotionally, but I don't think it was manipulation or gaslighting. The main thing here was a lack of communication on both parts, and yes, acting emotionally on Greg's part, and an inability to hear each other. There was a lot more said in what was unspoken in this conversation than what was spoken. Katie was really dancing around the issue. Greg initially reacted, as many people have said, to his gut feeling that she just did not meet his level and meet the kind of response that he was looking for. And there was a disconnect. And I think they were on par up until this point. And a big part of the issue was how they were each approaching this, how they were looking at their relationship. Greg wasn't looking at it from a detached perspective of going into it saying that, okay, I know this is a show, she's going to go through the process, and I have to remain a certain level of detached until the end, with keeping in mind that perspective that it may not be me. He was all in. He was holding back. He was coming from a vulnerable place due to the loss of his dad. And also, I think he's just a very emotionally based person in general.
Oh, it just cut off on me there. Love the Long Island voicemail, the Long Island, Strong Island over there. Yeah, give it all you got there, Greg. Yeah, you're right. It's almost like he in his heart of hearts was like, I can't continue this relationship if I don't get X, Y, and Z out of her. And that rigidity led to a little brittleness in their love. All right, let's wrap this up with Susan from Michigan. I do apologize for all the other voicemails I couldn't get to. It's just we're at an hour almost, and if I played everyone's, it'd be a 2-hour video. So I appreciate all the loyal listeners, the callers, and all that. I just couldn't get to all of them today, but I'm here for you guys. I appreciate all of you. All right, Susan in Michigan, take us home, please. Here we go. Let's go.
Sorry. Hey, Dave. It's Susan from Michigan. Hi. Sorry, I wasn't on the after show chat.
How dare you?
I missed it. But I wanted to just go through a few things. For one, Blake State, loved it. I do agree. Production made sure that Greg saw them, knowing he felt insecure already. And I know it's a show and they want drama, but that just felt like pure evil. From production. Anyway, Justin, I just felt bad his parents weren't there, but it's good he had his friends. And we get to Greg. Okay, I'm sure so much has been said. And listen, I don't know. I'm not a professional. I don't know all the psychological terms that may apply, but I do know that was a really toxic conversation. And he probably shouldn't start another relationship before getting some help with coping skills and communication skills. Those are my thoughts. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Susan in Michigan, wrapping it up, sending us home. Are there any other short ones I missed? No, that's a 3-minute one. I'm trying my best, guys. That's a 2. Jessica from Florida. All right, it's 2 minutes. I'll play the first minute. Jessica in Florida, you're up.
Hey, Dave. This is Jessica from Florida. It's been a while since I've called, and I'm calling in about Katie and Greg, the whole situation. I definitely feel like Greg is those anxious, insecure person in the relationship that needs a lot of security to get him through. But I wouldn't say he's this bad, unfixable person. I think the conversation should really come out more on these type of insecurities in relationships. Women are like this, men are like this. I mean, sad to admit, that was me for a long time. It didn't matter what you said. I still wanted to hear a little bit more. I still wanted a little more reaction. I wanted to walk away and you follow me. And thank you, God, my husband stood around and we in a good, healthy relationship.
Nice.
You live, you learn, you become stronger as a person. You secure yourself. You have somebody that's pretty much stable to secure you too, I guess you could say. But I think Katie was letting him know the whole time. Hold on, I'm going to go through with this show without saying it like that, but I'm going to pick you. So
thank you so much, Jessica from Florida. You're absolutely right. I mean, you live and you learn and you move on. Of course, Greg is redeemable. Of course. I could see a scenario and they get it. I could see a scenario where he's not done in the Bachelor franchise. He's got enough of a fan base. Enough people don't like what he did. But if he goes on some podcasts and kind of explains his mindset and how he wants to go moving forward, heck, I could see him on Bachelor in Paradise. You know what I mean? All right. Redemption, folks. We search for redemption.
Andrea, a.k.a. Boots, currently in Owen Sound, just north of Hamilton, where Blake Moynes, as Whit and Guy call him, long before this season. Yeah, and I am getting on a flight to BC, so I probably actually won't even be able to listen to the live stream, but I do feel very passionately about this because the one thing I wanted to say is that I think Greg, who had been like super camera conscious up until that point, was aware of the fact he was going to look like a dick. Like, he was very aware that he was going to look like an asshole. And imagine if, like, Ryan Gosling, another Canadian, and Rachel McAdams, another Canadian. I honestly feel so bad for the Americans who listen to you because there's just so much CanCon that it's not even funny. I don't know if you know this, but in Canada, we actually have like a 20 or 30% of everything on the radio and TV has to be Canadian. Anyways, and I'm literally holding a Team Canada Speedo as I say this. Anyways, getting back to the point. Okay, so if Ryan Gosling was on a season of Bachelorette, just like think about him saying the stuff that he said to Rachel McAdams. Oh my God, I forgot her name in the movie. Anyways, think about how he would have looked. He would have looked like such a dick. Doesn't he like shake her and grab her and yell at her like, "What do you want?" and all that kind of stuff. And like, I was just thinking about how I had to be the dick in my family recently, even though I knew it was going to make all my aunts hate me and my family hate me because after years of my uncle being a fraudster, I finally had to call my aunts out on like enabling him and like letting him be like a little tattletale. And anyways, the point is that I think Greg knew that he was going to look like a dick. I do empathize with what he was saying. I think when somebody says like, "I'm in love with you," and all of this like pretty intense stuff, and then you just say, "You know how I feel about you," and then like, yeah, she can just be a little bit too clinical, and I think that's partly being a banker and being with.
Yeah, being clinical can be a problem, right? When you try to like be the therapist. But I think she tried to set healthy boundaries. Listen, I loved your voicemail. I loved your Canadian pride. I want to know more about your uncle fraudster. Leave a comment. How did your uncle fraud everyone out? I'd love to know. It looks like that's all it looks like, did I get to all of them? Now listen, I said I wouldn't play the longer ones, but now I feel bad. So I'm going to just play the first minute of the longer ones, okay? I want everyone to get their representation in. If you listen to this long, we can just keep on listening here. You're doing the dishes, the kids are being brats. Let's just have a party, right? All right, so let's go to Melissa in Florida if I can get this puppy to play. Hold on, Melissa in Florida, you are up here.
Hi, Dave. It's Melissa in Florida. I just wanted to respond to the question of whether Greg is gaslighting or not. I don't think Greg was gaslighting. I also lost my dad to stage 4 cancer about 7 months after Greg did. I think per Instagram, he lost his dad December 2018. That 1-2 punch of that huge loss followed by the pandemic is no joke. My dad spent time on a ventilator in the ICU, and I wouldn't be surprised if Greg's dad did too, especially since it was lung cancer. There's no easy way to lose a parent, but watching your parent be tortured by cancer treatments for months is horrible. And we know he stuffed those emotions down and hasn't been dealing with it, based on what his family said last night. Greg said something, and I picked up on it. He said something about everything he and his dad went through. Suggests to me that his dad had a very similar journey as mine. From what I've read about stage 4 lung cancer, it typically takes about 4 months for the person to pass. So all that time, yes, you get all those times to say goodbye, but it's very traumatic. I told my dad I loved him every time I left his hospital room, even if it was just to get something from the cafeteria or to get him some ice chips. I said it over and over again to him, and he said it back to me. It was basically the last thing he was able to say before he couldn't speak anymore.
So I can't imagine how hurt I would be if I told a guy I love them and then they didn't say it back.
Right.
I've personally been in therapy for over a year, but not everyone is able to do that. And again, we know that Greg hasn't been dealing with his issues with his dad. So I think that I probably would have said to someone that I deserved more too, that I needed to hear it back. Not saying that Greg should have reacted the way that he did, but I definitely empathize with his feelings. I don't think it's fair to call him an abuser or a narcissist. We didn't see this type of behavior from him all season. He
Very
had
true.
this bad reaction.
Great point there, and thank you so much for the phone call. And I'm sorry about your father, but I really do appreciate all that you shared there. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, we didn't see that through him all season long, so it's kind of a tough thing to call him those things, even though there was a bad breakup there. All right, here we go. Couple more. Almost finished. Trying to hit the play button here. I think my phone's dying. All right. Hold on, folks.
And hi there, calling from Indiana. And my feeling is that Greg was at a completely different level than Katie, and he didn't handle it the way that he probably could have done better. However, he loves her so much, or at least he believes he does, that he couldn't even fathom going into a fantasy suite or doing any sort of
Bumping.
similar.
Bumping. Poking. Hold on, I think we lost you there. I think you might have called back, but no, you got a point that like if someone loves someone so much they couldn't fathom them going to a fantasy suite. I get it. I mean, I love my fiance. I couldn't imagine if I had to deal with situations like that. So I totally get it. But at the same time, it's I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like it's the name of the game, baby. All right. Let's play a few seconds here of this next one. I think this is going to be the last one. I keep saying that, but I'm trying to see there's multiple voicemails. People left long voicemails and recalled, and I'm just trying to sift through it all. Dave, get a producer. No. Okay. Here we go. All right, here we go.
Well, that's when you know when your voicemail is too long is when its call ends on you. Sorry, this was originally like an Instagram comment, but I made it way too long, so I decided I might as well just tell it to you. So where I left off was that Katie apologized, and Greg took it too far because she repeatedly apologized for the way that she acted. Well, Greg didn't comprehend that she's choosing not to say I love you to anybody, and that's frustrating because he took it too far in the end, and he's like, oh, well, I deserve more. I can't do this anymore. Do you realize what you're doing to me? She's like, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Like, you're not listening to me. It's not you. And it's just like a lot at the end. I think his decision to leave was immature, but like, what do I know? I'm like, maybe I love you, but you need to work on yourself tremendously. And the fact that Katie's filling a hole in your heart, I think that hole is from your father and the love that you lost.
Good point. That's a good point. And someone filling a hole in your heart, while it might sound like a good thing, like, hey, you filled a hole in my heart. It's like, no. I understand. You got to fill that hole yourself. You got to pave those potholes on your own so that your relationship isn't bumpy. And if there are bumps, put your seatbelts on and get through it. And they weren't able to do that. Listen, that's all for the voicemails. I know this was a long one, but we had a ton to get through. I'll play whatever voicemails that come in from now moving forward on the live stream, or at least I'll try to get to those Thursday at 4 p.m. Let me know what you think. A lot of great comments there. Some Greg fans, a lot of Katie fans, and just I think we can all agree it's a little complicated. The conversation itself was toxic. It was misguided, and they could have used some maybe outside help to navigate that conversation. But that's what happens. All right, folks. Thanks so much. Hit the like button and subscribe on the way out the door. Bye now.